Hello and welcome to Palace Intrigue. I am your host, Mark Francis. Tomorrow is the 60th birthday of Sophie, the Duchess of Edinburgh, but also the inauguration of Donald Trump, which could have an effect on the royal family. We'll focus on Trump tomorrow. Ahead of Sophie's birthday, the Times shared that Sophie will spend her birthday privately at Bagshot Park, the home she shares with Prince Edward, her husband of more than 25 years, and their 3 dogs, a cocker spaniel called Mole, and 2 black labradors, Teal and Teasel. Roya Nicker writes, beyond the customary acknowledgements of the royal social media channels, the advent of Sophie's 7th decade will be marked with little fanfare, which is just how she likes it. Sophie has long been considered one of the monarchy's safest pair of hands, doted on by the late Queen for her loyalty and unflashy approach to royal life, the 4th hardest working member of the family. After In Order, Princess Anne, the King and Edward, she clocked up 257 official engagements at home and abroad last year. Royal biographer Ingrid Seward said, with Sophie, it's not all about her. She was one of the first outsiders who came into the royal family and realized it's about all of them working together as a team. She really gets that and doesn't want praise heaped on her. The Times shares this from a former palace aide. She's tough, she knows her own mind and will argue her corner. There was always a danger people underestimated her, but she stood up for herself, for Edward, for them as a couple. Recalling their diary meetings when engagements for the year ahead were planned, the aide said, Edward would say okay to most things, but she would ask, what are we doing that for? What's the value in it? She wanted to know what they were doing was actually useful. Ingrid Seward reminded the Times that things weren't always easy for Sophie. Seward said, Sophie wasn't from that world. She'd never encountered anything like the royal family. It was very nervous. Shy and tongue-tied when she first met the Queen, who as a result thought she was a bit dull and told a friend you wouldn't notice her in a crowd. But the more she saw of her, the more she liked her, especially as she made a big effort with Prince Philip, learning to ride, taking up carriage driving. The Queen always liked people who could deal with her husband. Sophie might be low-key, but she's a lot smarter than people give her credit for. A source told the Times, Sophie and Edward were overshadowed because bigger stars in the family came along, and I think at times she did mind that, but she was always pragmatic about their place in the hierarchy. Unlike some others in the family, the King and Queen are much more understanding and aware of the role they have been playing, and as they've come more into the spotlight, the rest of the family have appreciated that more. The late Queen always knew it. Sophie is a proper asset. Our royal insider, Deep Crown, tells us, one does rather enjoy being proven right. For years, I've been telling anyone who would listen that Sophie, Duchess of Edinburgh, was the monarchy's most undervalued asset. Now, as she approaches her 60th birthday, it seems the institution has finally caught up with what some of us have known all along. While certain members of the family chase Netflix deals and others skulk in Norfolk estates, Sophie has quietly revolutionized what it means to be a modern royal. And darlings, she's done it without a single Instagram reel or reality show pilot. Let's be perfectly clear. 257 engagements last year wasn't just impressive, it was a masterclass in royal duty. While others might view such numbers as mere statistics, those of us who frequent the same circles know these engagements represent real work, real impact, and most importantly, real understanding of what the monarchy needs to survive. Deep Crown will have more tomorrow about Sophie in his free newsletter, which you can find at deepcrown.co.uk. Today being a Sunday, you can find his usual Sunday column at that same website. Premium subscribers to Palace Intrigue also receive an audio version of his Sunday column in this feed. Also, a reminder that today marks the debut of Palace Weekly, a conversational recap of the week's events, which you will find in today's feed, beginning at 9 a.m. East. Palace Intrigue will be right back. Life in the royal family hasn't always been smooth sailing for Sophie, Duchess of Edinburgh, who turns 60 next week. Before joining the firm, Sophie Rees-Jones was a successful PR professional accustomed to calling the shots in corporate communications. But marrying Prince Edward in 1999 meant adapting to a world of tradition and restraint. Certainly it took me a while to find my feet, Sophie admitted, reflecting on her early royal years. She candidly shared, the frustration was that I had to reduce my expectations of what I could actually do. Sophie initially envisioned offering practical business advice to charities, but her role turned out to be more ceremonial. They've expected me to be the icing on the cake, the person to come in and thank their volunteers and funders, not necessarily to tell them how to run their communications plan, she said. Still, Sophie has become one of the royal family's most effective members, earning her the nickname the firm's secret weapon. Women magazine noted the public's growing affection for the Duchess, and royal commentator Ingrid Seward praised her teamwork-oriented approach. With Sophie, it's not all about her. She really gets that it's about all of them working together as a team. Sophie and Prince Edward have developed a close working relationship with Prince William and Princess Catherine. Reports suggest the future king is eager for his aunt and uncle to take on more prominent roles when he ascends the throne. But Sophie isn't all about sticking to the playbook. Her recent visit to Ukraine, which had government approval but reportedly faced resistance behind the scenes, highlighted her independent streak. A source told The Times, the government tried to stop her going to Ukraine, but she wasn't having any of it. This rebellious edge seems to define Sophie's royal approach. Despite adhering to tradition, she's unafraid to push boundaries, with plans to visit more conflict zones in the future, whether officials approve or not. And there you have it. If you'd like to email us, our address is thepalaceintrigue@gmail.com. Please follow us on Spotify, Apple, or the app of your choice. And you can find us now on YouTube and become a subscriber over there. I'm Mark Francis. My thanks to John McDermott. This is Palace Intrigue, and good times.